Good evening. This is the Rochester Board of Education's monthly business meeting. I am President Cynthia Elliott. We will call our meeting to order, and we will start with an act of reverence. Is there someone who would like to volunteer to say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag? Superintendent Blanco, can you do it? All right. Thank you, Superintendent. The next item on the agenda is our upcoming board events, and I'm going to turn that over to Rahima Nguyen. Thank you.
Thank you, President Elliott, Vice President LeBron, Commissioner, Superintendent, and Community. For the month of August, we will resume all of our committee meetings, starting with policy on Tuesday, August 6th at 6 p.m. The following week, we will convene ESA, followed by a special committee for the consideration of resolutions on August 13th, also at 6 p.m. The Finance Committee will convene on August 20th at 6 p.m., and then we will conclude the month with the monthly business meeting on August 22nd at 6:30 p.m. All board meetings are held in person at 131 West Broad Street in the third floor conference room. You may view the Board of Education calendar at rcsdk12.org/BOE calendar. The board continues to recruit parents and students this year for our committee meetings. If you all would like to participate as a committee rep, student, or parent, you may go to the board's website at www.rcsdk12/BOE rep for the criteria along with the application, which can be submitted online. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahima. The next item on the agenda is speakers. We have one speaker for this evening, Julie Rosette.
Good evening. I'm Julie Rossetti, and this is my 7th year as a school counselor in the district. I'm here tonight to address the recent changes that were made to grade level designation for students in PowerSchool. On June 7th, student grade levels quietly changed to align with their cohort or number of years that they've been in high school, rather than their credits earned. What may seem like a simple change that should cause no issues was far from that. To put this into perspective, on my caseload of 160 students, I have 14 that are off grade level. Many schools have much more than that. I also have 4 early graduates in 2024 that I had changed to 12th graders in PowerSchool who were then rolled back to 11th grade 2 weeks before graduating. A SOTA student in the 2020 cohort moved from 10th grade to 12th grade with only 5.5 credits. School counselors were never formally informed of this change, even though it directly impacted us. I'm still unsure if families were informed. I gained access to a letter explaining these changes. It states all the reasons that this may be confusing, but this will, quote, benefit the students of RCSD. Any benefits have yet to be realized, but for possibly one school's athletics program, which hardly seems like an equitable decision. I love my job and the students that I have the privilege to work with. One of my most accomplished graduates sits on this very board, and I take a lot of pride in that. I also take pride in doing my job effectively and with transparency and honesty, and this change has made that very difficult. On the surface, the obvious problem becomes explaining to a student and their family that even though PowerSchool says they are a 12th grader, they have not met the credit requirements to graduate this year. This change directly impacts those of us at the school level and requires us to explain an illogical decision. Unfortunately, I don't have time to address all the other problems this caused in the last month of school. I do, however, have time to share my proposed solution. I propose that you undo these changes, roll students back to the grade level that aligns with the credits that they've earned, and if that's not an option, please add another indicator in PowerSchool that would designate whether or not the student is on track. I care deeply for the success of this district. It's the reason I'll probably never work anywhere else. I want to continue to do this work with integrity while focusing on what's best for our students. Each year, my colleagues and I face challenges that seem impossible, like registering students for summer school on the same day as graduation. Those things are hard, but grade level designation based on the number of credits you've earned, that should be easy. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Rosette. That concludes the speakers portion of the agenda. We're going down to advisory council reports. And I don't know if we have any advisory council reports, Ms. Nguyen?
We do not have any
Okay,
reports.
all right, thank you. So the next item on the agenda is the board reports. And so looks like there is a report from Finance Committee, so I'll turn that over to Vice President LeBron, who chairs the committee.
Thank you. The Finance Committee did not convene this month, and at this time, I do invite Chief Financial Officer Sean Farr to present the July 2024 financial report.
We lost quorum.
Excuse me. There's no
We lost
quorum.
quorum?
Yep. After she spoke.
Okay, so Sean, if you can give us a second. We have a tight quorum because we have some commissioners out, and I know that Commissioner Simmons is traveling, but is joining us via Zoom, as well as Commissioner Malloy. So we have to wait till we have quorum and at least 4 commissioners present to continue with the board meeting. So we can't even get motion to adjourn, the meeting's just paused. My apologies to the audience watching at home and those sitting out in the room. We're back on, so I'm going to turn the meeting over to Chief Farr to go over the finance reports for this month. Thank you.
And before, let me just remind commissioners that because people are traveling, it's very important that you, because there's only 4 of us here, that you don't leave. If you're going to leave, please do it between a particular agenda item. That would that would be helpful because it stops the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President LeBron. We've got a report up for the month of July through June preliminary data. I say preliminary because June is the last month of our fiscal year. And so we now start the process of closing out the year and doing a lot of cleanup and adjustments. So these numbers, you'll ultimately see the audited financial numbers in December, and you'll probably see a preliminary in November. For the June 30th, the district had $358 million in cash, which we've been tracking all year, substantially higher than the prior year. We're $106 million more cash at this point than June 30th of 2023. Going down to Section C, the revenue summary, a couple items that have been reoccurring during the year, which stop-loss reimbursements, which the district is self-insured for health insurance, but we have a insurance policy behind that to stop loss at $500,000. And so claims above that for specific individuals, then we get reimbursed for on that insurance policy. So that's $2.4 million, which is good, but it just indicates that there's some employees with some significant health issues out there, unfortunately. Earnings, we've been running high all year on our investment earnings. We had $1.6 million last month, and we've been tracking well over $1 million a month for the bulk of 23-24. Going to the second page, going down a little bit more. There we go.
Can you please speak up a little bit? I can't hear you, Mr. Farr. Thank you.
Okay. The, just highlight here the section that has current projected revenues, general fund, special aid fund, school food service fund, and you can see percentages in the gray area. So our revenue for the year at this point was 2.2% higher than the budget, so that's good. And in our grants fund, it was 6.8%, and that just reflects additional grant funds that came in during the year. And the school food service fund actually came in the revenue came in 5.5% less than what was budgeted. However, that's without transfers from fund balance, and we had anticipated that, and we had budgeted $2 million from the school food service fund balance alone. And in this month, we transferred $900,000 to balance out the food service fund. Going down to section D, which actually starts on page 2 and then wraps, there you go, wraps over to the top of page 3. This is our expenditures. As of June 30th, we still had 10.2% of our budget unexpended, and this is primarily driven through budgeted positions that were not filled. Our special aid fund has 13.8% that remained unfunded or unexpended. The special aid funds, most of those categories will roll over or actually do not expire. So for example, Title I money or the title money, Title I, Title II, Title III, and Title IV go to August 31st. So while this is the end of our fiscal year, there are grant funds that we get that are on a different calendar. In those cases, title funds go, and that's the largest amount of money that we get, go to August 31st. So we're in good shape there. Going down that page to section E, this is a summary of the federal stimulus. We've been focused on the middle column of ARP funding. So we had $196 million in ARP budgeted to us over multiple years. At this point, we have $11.2 million that remains available, and we have a plan. Now, this funding source actually goes till September 30th. At this point, we're closing out expenditures from the last school year, and then the plan we have, which will expend the rest of the money, is to take expenses that were incurred or charged to the general fund budget and recode those over to this grant, which there's certain things that we're allowed to do that for, and we have enough charges so that we will end up expending the full grant. You will see that in October when we've closed out the grant. And going to the next page. In section G, you will see that this is just a representation of our capital funds. There's a column called cash capital, which represents funds that the district has put in. District puts in a minimum of $10 million a year is budgeted into capital. And then the column that says bond is where we've issued debt for capital projects. And you can see the balances that are remaining. A lot of projects happen right now in the summertime. And as those bills come in, which will be coming in September, October to get paid off, the amounts, remaining project balances there will be decreasing as projects are closed out. In section H, I'll note that there's a lot of resolutions that were approved here, but the first item has the cancellation of a project, and that was a project that was an emergency repair to the heating, ventilation, air conditioning system at School 29 as part of the school Invest in Tomorrow and school closures. School 29 was closed, so we cancel that project. When we cancel a project, the funds then aren't lost. They're kept in the fund, and then they're available to reallocate for new projects. Going down to Section I, School Food Service Fund, I noted that we transferred $900,000 from the Food Service Fund balance in the month of June to balance the budget. Now, these are unaudited numbers, so as we make adjustments, eventually that number will be fine-tuned to the actual results for the year. Section J, charter school enrollment. The budget was $114.6 million for the year. We're still projecting roughly $111.6 million in payouts, which leaves us with a $3 million surplus. So we budgeted more than we paid out, which indicates that actually the increasing charter school enrollment is slowing down versus what we had budgeted for the year. We had budgeted for more students to be in charter school. That's it. Any questions?
No, no questions.
I do have one question.
Oh, President Elliott has a question.
So I think this may be directed to the interim superintendent at this point. I see in the letter, Chief R, to interim superintendent Strickland about the Oracle system and the information that Chief Farr has in his letter with regard to, the challenges because of the lack of consistent leadership and staff knowledge and what have you. And so any thoughts, Superintendent Strickland, around what, and reacting to what Chief Farr has noted in his report with regard to the Oracle system?
Thank you for that question, President Elliott, and good evening, fellow commissioners. The other day, I convened a meeting with the executive leadership team of the Oracle project to get the status update of where we are with the project and transitioning into this financial or this system change that we need to go about. And I am still triangulating the various information that I receive from finance, that I receive from human capital, that I receive from the Office of Professional Learning in order to determine what the next steps or the next direction should be. So I do plan on providing updates in future meetings so that we can be on one accord about what we are doing in its regard.
So just remind us, we've been talking about the system for quite some time, but remind us, Chief Farr, the impact that this kind of system can have in our finance department.
Yeah, we're working with a financial operating system that is 20 years old and has not been updated in over 10 years. Part of that is because when you look at software, we've customized it. So the various staffs and IM&T has worked to provide features to the software that we desire to have. But when you do that, then it kind of stops you from taking the updates that come from the company because they could overwrite the work you've done. So we are, the software system is kind of antiquated. And so the Oracle system is to take us to a new level, a more robust software system. And so that's the plus side of it. The challenge is that it's a more robust system. And that's where we've been struggling to design the features in the way that makes sense. Not how we do it today, but how we should be doing it. And that's what's been slowing us down. I've been working on this project for over 2 years, and it started roughly a year before I got here. So we've still got a ways to go.
Are there school districts around the country where this system is operational?
Yes, yes. It's in larger school districts. I know that it's used by Los Angeles Unified School District, the Houston Independent School District. It's used in Maryland, I think Montgomery, or anyways, there are school districts that are using this system, but they're unique operators. We're on the first one in New York, trying to do this. Syracuse School District has adopted this software as well, and they're in the process of implementing as well as us. So there's a lot of features that become unique to how we operate a school district in New York, and we're having to account for that as well.
And just one last question. How long does it really take to get this system operating? If we had all the pieces in place, people and...
Ideally, if you had it laid out and designed, you would be looking, at least on the finance part of it, you would be looking at a year. If you were, well prepared, that you had spent a year preparing, and we've been kind of preparing as we go. We've also suffered staff turnover, so that slows us down. So because we're very people dependent in this school district. We're a large school district, but we have people who have knowledge base who are working on it. And if somebody leaves, then we lose knowledge base that we then have to recover and replace. So that part of the reason this has dragged out so long for this district.
All right. Thank you, Chief Farr.
Thank you, Chief Farr. At this time, can I have a motion to approve the first quarter?
Motion.
Hold on,
I
she
would
has a
like to say-
question.
Yeah,
Is it related to the finance report?
oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Farr. We all know that we have a lot of systems that are worked as long as they are utilized and the people that are working them input the information. So I appreciate PeopleSoft because I've worked with PeopleSoft before, any other corporation that I work for, and it's a long-standing and has good reviews. But here, yet and still, it's always important to always know that it's only going to be as good as it is utilized and the information and the data put into it is accurate. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. I'm done.
Not clear how it was related to the finance, but at this time, can I have a motion to approve the first quarter change reports on the district's unaudited July 2024 finance report? Motions by President Elliott. Can I get a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Santiago. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The next finance meeting will feature a presentation from Chairman Richards of the Rochester Joint School Construction Board. This is to give us all an update as well about the modernization. And then I will be going over the focus points and goals for the Finance Committee for the 24-25 school year. Thank you.
Thank you. Log myself out. So the next item on the agenda, get there. We will go down now to the superintendent's report, and I will ask Superintendent Strickland for his report.
Great evening, President Elliott, Vice President LeBron, fellow board commissioners, students, staff, and our Rochester community. I am honored to bring you my first superintendent's report for the month of July 2024. I am excited to tell you This presentation will focus on the priorities within our strategic plan and the work we are doing to achieve some of the goals within. The 5 priorities are listed on the slide, and some of the goals associated with each priority include increasing the percentage of students who are proficient in ELA and math, implementing restorative practices with fidelity, increasing employee engagement and professional development activities, enhancing communication channels to families, and investing in improving facilities and resources. Priority number 1, our students. I want to tell you they are staying on track, thriving, and excelling in our Summer of Discovery programs. We have 2 standout programs that are new this year. Rock Achieve, designed for students in grades 7 and 8, that allows middle school students to catch up on their classes that they may not have been successful in. Rock Vocademics serves students in grades 6 through 7 at MCC's downtown campus, offering integrated approach to literacy, math, and career and technical education. For our students, families, and staff, you may see me at your school next week and in your classroom. I will continue to appreciate getting out there and seeing our students and staff and hearing their stories of success this summer. I want to thank the Rochester Institute of Technology for being a partner and providing 14 RCSD students a great opportunity to see what it's like to live on a college campus. RIT held its first CHIP experience immersion the week of July 8th. This was a week-long hands-on experience related to microchips and advanced manufacturing. When the program ended, students participated in a project showcase where they demonstrated their work. Not only did students get to stay on campus and learn about the chip industry, they also received a $500 stipend. Thank you again to the Rochester Institute of Technology. 3 students from school number 23 really impressed us this year. Even though they're in 6th grade, they took the Algebra 1 exam typically taken by 9th graders. Each of them tackled every question, and I am thrilled to share that Sadie Lansner scored a level 5, the highest level you can achieve on a Regents examination. Hearing they were up for the challenge definitely warmed my heart. A big thank you to David Beck from the SMILE program for his incredible support in preparing these students throughout the school year. Thanks again. Our Office of School Innovation has been acknowledged for its leadership in implementing the data-wise improvement process within our district. Our district is recognized in Harvard Education Press's new book, System-Wise, which underscores our commitment to data-driven decision-making and its role in enhancing student outcomes. In Executive Director Dan Hurley's contribution to the publication, he mentions how the district has embraced the Google Earth analogy by using street data to guide school leaders in crafting effective improvement strategies and how we use data to create our school improvement plans. Priority number 2. I want to recognize 3 standout athletes who have been honored with first team All-Greater Rochester Spring Team recognitions as selected by the Democrat and Chronicle. Kamira Clyburn from Monroe Upper School, Miguel Matos from East High, and Perion Williams from World of Inquiry, who was a member of Franklin's track team. This past season, Kamira had a 7-touchdown game. Miguel finished with a 9-0 record as a pitcher, and Perion was a state champion who also represented the RCSD at Nationals. Congratulations to these 3 outstanding athletes on their well-deserved recognition. Priority number 3. We are committed to recruiting, growing, and retaining talented individuals within our district. To achieve this, we are hosting 4 upcoming hiring events aimed at attracting those eager to make a difference in our students' lives. We offer competitive compensation, and we need you to go apply today. All you have to do is bring a resume that highlights your qualifications and experiences. Get to one of those events or learn more online at www.rcsdk12.com/careers. I want to encourage staff to take care of themselves and enjoy the wellness events around our community. Recently, we provided discounted tickets to a Red Wings game on June 28th, and we will do this again on August 3rd. Additionally, through our partnership with Employee Network Incorporated, our EAP provider, staff can get discounts on entertainment and travel options. Have a good time with family and friends. Priority number 4. I have been out and about in our schools and the community, meeting with students and families, watching them as they learn. I've been documenting my visits and interactions in a video that has been appearing weekly on our social media pages. In the first 2 weeks, our weekly activity update has included highlights from the work we did at the Public Education Leadership Project in Massachusetts. I have more information on that in another slide. As I mentioned, I got to see some of our students move into RIT for the week-long CHIP program. I've checked in on our students engaged in summer learning, and I was honored to speak to parents at Let's Get Lit, Liberating Individuals Through Literacy Text, a week-long program that removes barriers and provides materials to enhance students' minds and reading skills. Please be sure to check my weekly updates on your social media channels. Priority number 4. Marquand Grimes is a shining example of the fantastic students we have within our district. This rising senior at Edison took it upon himself to organize a football camp that was held 2 Saturdays ago at Edison. The All-American 4-sport athlete, who is also a member of the Student Leadership Congress, engaged with 55 students from the ages of 6 to 12. Drills were led by student athletes from Edison's boys football and Edison and World of Inquiry girls flag football teams. The camp's motto: be the reason someone still sees the good in the community. I am grateful to Marquand for his thoughtfulness, passion, and willingness to serve our community in a leadership capacity. Now, commissioners, how about that motto? He said, be the reason someone still sees the good in that community. That's awesome. Priority number 5. We take great pride in ensuring operational excellence for our students and families, and your input is critical. In order to guarantee transportation on the first day of school, all changes to a student's pickup and drop-off locations must be submitted to us no later than Friday, August 9th. If families need to make any changes, contact your child's school. We sent a robocall to families earlier this month, reminding them that we need this information. It will also be helpful to have your emergency contact information updated. As a reminder, the first day of school is Thursday, September 5th. I had the pleasure of participating in the Public Education Leadership Project, or PELP, at Harvard University earlier this month. The work done there directly aligns with our district's strategic priorities and goals. At PELP, we engaged in sustainable professional learning that will guide us as we move forward. These sessions provided insights into building and sustaining high-performing district teams, crucial for achieving our goals of the instructional excellence and inclusive culture. We were able to focus on organizational coherence, effective leadership, and strategies to grow our staff's capacities at all levels. And now, I would like to provide our monthly update on the strides we are making with Invest in Tomorrow, our district's vision for the future. We continue to make progress with all the moves needed to ensure that all buildings open successfully in September. Over 90% of all teacher transfers have been completed. All principals and office staff have been transferred. Over 90% of all new furniture have been delivered. Over 80% of student furniture moves between schools have been completed. Middle school staff were in Minneapolis this month for training on expeditionary learning. Bridge Week will be 3 days in August where students can get acclimated to middle school life. And our very own Deputy Superintendent Turner is leading weekly school opening meetings with all departments within the organization. And that concludes my superintendent report for July 2024.
Thank you, Superintendent Strickland. Are there any questions for Superintendent Strickland?
Yeah,
Commissioner Santiago?
I just want to just give a double shout out to Marquand Grimes for hosting the football camp for the young people. It's great to see our young people step into leadership positions and host things like that for the community.
Thank you. Any other questions for Superintendent Strickland?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, is that Commissioner Simmons?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
It is. You hear me?
Yes, we
Okay.
can.
Can you guys hear me okay? Okay.
can.
Yeah, no, also, yes, Marquand Grimes, Edison, yes. I love what he's done and what he's doing. I love that he's part of the SLC, and I'm anticipating some great things from that young man. I do want to, I know we don't necessarily respond to comments made, but I do want to say that the solution I heard earlier this evening around maybe providing a caveat in Power School, if it's appropriate for me to do so at this time, I would definitely support us considering that. So if we're not able to change the cohort piece, because I know there's a rhyme and reason, I'm being told, for it being that way, something that explicitly shows the credits and where the student is in contrast to where they should be based on their cohort would be maybe ideal for communication purposes, because I can see that getting a little murky. So if that's a possibility, I would support that. And then lastly, for Superintendent Strickland, I did want to ask around transportation and gearing up for the school year. We know historically we've had some issues. Are there any barriers or anything you're hearing significantly that may impact our transportation for this upcoming school year that you may have a pulse on at this point?
Thank you for your questions and your suggestions. So to your first point, already in the works, I already have emailed and trying to see what solutions we have out there to assist with not providing the wrong, or excuse me, the idea if a student may be off track. So that already is literally in the works. For the second portion, which is around transportation, of course, drivers continue to, we continue to have a driver shortage. However, we still are continuously recruiting for those positions. Our hope is that it will not be felt as much this year, since we have done a lot of right zoning and making sure that students are within their zone, which will shorten routes, things of that nature. So more details to come in that regard on specifics.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons. Are there any other questions from the Zoom? Commissioner Malloy? Any questions? All right, thank you. Any other questions? Commissioner Griffin?
Yes, I just want to also send a shout out to Lit. Ms. Florence is an excellent teacher in literacy, and her skill sets are very high, and she needs to be applauded in the work she has done free, voluntarily, and even if she's getting paid. She puts a lot of time and effort in, and it's very, very appreciative because our children can't read. And to go to that event on yesterday and see the dynamics of what I seen when I was in school with the reading, The phonics and the breakdown is something that I would love to see in this district, and I don't see. I see a lot of the Chromebooks still in our pre-K and everything to just keep the kids occupied, and we definitely have to start putting that piece of paper and that pencil, in front of them with the dotted lines in order for them to really engage like I seen her doing with these kids. I think it is lucrative for the success of our children, for the city of Rochester. So maybe we should take some leads from her to put us on the right path as far as our literacy is concerned, because obviously we are not on the right track yet. And I think she would be definitely an asset to this district because of the work she's put in and because of her professionalism across the board. She is a dynamic speaker, and she engages these kids. You have to see it to believe it, but she is spot on. So hats off to her and her team for what they do and what they continue to do with our black and brown children in the city of Rochester. And I look to see what she has in the future, in store for us in the future. Thank you very much.
Any other questions for Superintendent Strickland? Patterson, Commissioner Patterson.
Thank you. Again, this evening, Julie Rossetti, am I pronouncing that, Rossetti? Spoke this evening, and I have also heard, and in fact, everything that she spoke relative to, I've already heard. And for example, on June 26th, my understanding is that 140 students were transferred to Franklin, then dropped on paper by computer. There was various reasons. For example, they left the country and things like that. But I would like a report on, what I'm mentioning here, or what I'm saying here, to make sure that this is not and has not occurred. Because if this has occurred, that we're just transferring students over to Franklin and dropping them without producing evidence of why we dropped them, that's a travesty to us. So I'd like to, I tried to meet with you earlier today. That didn't work. I tried meeting with you about a month ago, and that didn't work. So I'd like to schedule through our clerk a meeting to meet you one-on-one to discuss some things that I've heard, just to make sure that I'm, number one, not spreading gossip, but it's factual. So I want to get the facts from you, being the interim superintendent, relative to, some of the findings that have here, and also that individuals that have that are graduating, that not all of them should have an IEP, which having an IEP prevents you from taking Regents testing, if I'm correct. So I could be correct or incorrect. I'm asking you to correct me. Are there students that probably should not have an IEP that do not have to sit for the Regents exam and are given a local diploma? So maybe that can be something that we put in the log that he can, respond to at some point in time, or we can have a discussion.
Just restate the question for me so I can be clear about what's going in the log. Thank you.
Okay, so on June 26th, were 140 plus students transferred to Franklin and then dropped from the list for some reason. And are there students that have IEPs, that were given IEPs, that prevents them from taking Regents examination, and therefore they receive just a local diploma?
All right, thank you. Thank you, Superintendent. Oh, did you want to respond? No, I thought it was going into the question log. No, I thought, so that's
Fine
why.
if he wants to.
Hold up. That's why I was saying, you asked for it to go into the question log, so that's why I was going on to Superintendent Blocker. But if you want to answer it, feel free to.
Yeah, if
So-
he wants to answer, he can go ahead and answer. I just thought, that was a proper thing to do. But if you want to respond to that, I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate that. So that is a matter that was currently being looked into. I just started the position July 1st, and whatever we find, we will rectify that, and we'll come back and actually publicly explain what possibly may have occurred.
Questions for Superintendent Blocker, or Superintendent Strickland?
Yes, just to fine tune that, that's the policy 4,000, I believe. Is that that's part of the policy 4,000 as far as some of what you were saying, Patterson, in reference to some of the things that Commissioner Simmons was saying. So that's, and just to say something else, I brought that attendance issue, not for nothing, to Superintendent Peluso before he left, and it was never addressed prior to Strickland taking the seat. So I just want to put that out there for everyone in the public to know that it was something that I addressed at Franklin prior, and I never got a response from the last superintendent that left in reference to the attendance that was happening and people dropping kids at Franklin, and they didn't have a system set up. And I asked them, where was the attendance person? And then she somehow got removed or displaced or fired or whatever, because she was doing what she was told, and then all of a sudden she went away. So I just want to let the public know that that information that Commissioner Patterson is speaking about is something that I addressed with the other superintendent and never got an answer. So I just wanted to let everybody know that.
Let me just also speak on behalf of the last superintendent. You can't do everything at one time, right? And so we had put this global process in place to move through everything. And so he was only here a year and a half. So we can't do it all. We are going to do it little by little. And we have to look at what the priorities are in the district. We have a strategic plan that the former superintendent left us with. This board developed goals. We're going to work on them. So as opposed to us, we can't do it all at one time. Members of the board, we can't do it all at one time, but we can address it. We've got a great plan and we can move out on it. And so I will not allow us to vilify the last superintendent, not on my watch.
Okay,
All
but
right, Commissioner-
violations are violations.
Yeah,
So when it comes to kids and violations, we
Commissioner
have to take
Santiago,
accountable,
and let me
that's
just
what we
say,
to
I
do
will
that.
have the mic turned off. Okay, Commissioner Santiago.
Yeah, just a quick question about the reconfiguration which is happening this summer. Just wondering about staffing and just as far as the timeline for the transition and the new reconfiguration that'll be happening. Are we on time? Are we moving forward? You know, is there any major issues that we should speak about? Just checking on the status, because there's some big changes going on this summer with the reconfiguration.
Absolutely. We continue to make significant progress to fill vacancies for every school. The goal obviously will always be that 100% of our schools are staffed. Dr. Miller, do you have additional information you want to add?
Thank you, Superintendent. Thank you for the question, Commissioner. We are working and
I'm not turning off your mic.
thank you. We are aiming to fill all of our positions, our teaching classroom positions, before new educator orientation, which begins in mid-August. We want to ensure that our educators are able to participate in that and take advantage of the professional learning and growth. So we are looking to fill all of our classrooms, certainly by then and well before the first day of school. We have some internal goals around August 1st relative to meeting some of those aims, where we update our data on where we are relative to vacancies every Monday morning and share out a report relative to that. As of this past Monday, we had about 60 operations positions that we were working through, both in facilities, food service, transportation, and safety and security. We have a number of job hiring events that we are doing in partnership with those departments to fill those positions, and we feel very confident that we're going to fill those, particularly in the area of food service, where we have about 30 positions vacant right now. We'll be holding a food service fair for that. On the teacher educator side, we are down. We've had some significant hiring over the last day, but on Monday we were at 97 vacancies for teachers, and we know that we've moved that needle quite significantly this week. So we expect that number to be much lower as of Monday, far better than we were at this time last year and 2 years ago, you'll recall, where we had 352 vacancies on this date 2 years ago, and last year we had 152 vacancies on this date. So we're in much better shape than we have been the previous 2 years, and that was also to be expected given the reconfiguration. We're still challenged with teachers who have certification and who are coming out of our institutes of higher education. So that's why we've invested so much in our grow our own efforts to really work with paras and teaching assistants to help them become teachers. And we've had great success with that through our TCAP process, which is the Teacher Certification Action Plans.
Yeah, and just very quickly, I just want to follow up with that. I know that we have a lot of schools who are going to be bilingual or have bilingual students and a high population of that. I know that there's been some issues with getting bilingual teachers in places, and so I just want to, share that concern. I'm hearing that for some of these schools, it's been very hard to hire the bilingual teachers to match the percentage of bilingual students. And so I know that there are some initiatives moving forward to get and fill those roles, but I just want to share the concern of ensuring that we have those teachers in place by the first day of the school year.
Yeah, as of this past Monday, we had 15 bilingual vacancies. So we're working to fill those. I think we did hire a couple people this week, but yeah, we're going to be challenged, particularly worried, and use this as a plug for recruitment for science bilingual. That's an area where we're worried about where we are right now, because we have about 3 vacancies, but we're struggling to find candidates for those science positions. So if you're bilingual and can teach science, we're looking for you.
Thank you.
President Elliott, Commissioner Simmons has a question.
All right, Commissioner Simmons, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Just to echo the sentiments expressed around the teacher certification, hiring, what have you, and I'm not sure if are we getting reports or updates as the school year approaches as to where we are, progress that's being made? That might be nice, a thermometer touch, just to understand where we are. I don't know if someone responded or not. That was a question.
Yes, we will. We will have an update in the Friday letter this week from this past Monday, and then each week we're providing in the Friday letter to the board. But we've made some great progress.
Thank you. And around the issues concerning Franklin, I definitely have heard some undercurrents or what have you. I was going to kind of address that a little bit offline, but what I do hope that we can, what my concern is around that is hopefully it turns out to be a system issue, something that went wrong in the system, or, that would be ideal if that happened. Because I would like to, Superintendent Strickland, if you can just provide an update as to if it was woeful manipulation of the system, because data can be entered in a way that can misconstrue some things, if that was woeful and intentional, or if it was just the system itself was a little off or wonky. So I would love to know the outcome of what happened there as well. And I did forget to lift Ms. Florence, and I wanted to echo Commissioner Griffin's sentiments around the Get Lit. I've been rocking with that for a little while now. Check out our podcast as well on DKX. This is not a plug, but it really is good information around literacy. There's quite a few people in our community that are focused on literacy, and I'm glad to see that the district is leaning into that even more so. So those are my soapbox issues.
All right, and let me just also point out too, that the questions that we should be asking should relate directly to the superintendent's presentation. Okay? It should
Get Lit was on the superintendent's.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, just keep in mind that the questions that we ask need to refer to the superintendent's presentation. All right.
I had her hand up as well. Online.
Commissioner Malloy?
Thank you. Good evening. Yes, I'm sorry I'm online. I'm also traveling. My question is pertaining to you may have already mentioned this, the SPED certified staff. Where are we at in terms of hiring? I know that's a frequent shortage. Are we where we need to be for the start of school? Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioner. Thank you for that question. No, we are absolutely still challenge with secondary special education. It is a critical shortage across the nation, across New York State, and certainly in our region locally. We will not be able to fill all of our positions that we have vacant at this moment with certified special education candidates. We are really struggling to find people with that certification, which is why we're growing our own and incentivizing paraprofessionals and teaching assistants to work toward their certification in special education. And so that has been a great benefit to us. We have people in the positions that are working toward that certification, and they've been quite successful in obtaining and being retained in the school districts. We're up over a 90% retention rate on those individuals that go through our TCAP program. So we're continuing to invest as a solution to our issues around that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Patterson, did you have another question?
Yeah, I have one last question for the superintendent. It's regarding student outcomes. And for months now, as a matter of fact, the entire school year, I've been looking for this cohort, the iReady results, which we know are reading and writing results, and they've not been produced as far as the iReady results. So when are we going to be seeing those? I think we're supposed to see those, or they be presented to us at least twice a year, if not 3 times during a school year. But I have not seen it to date. So could you tell us when we're going to see these results?
Yes, sir. The iReady results will be previewed at from the end of the year, from June, at ESA in August, I believe, for end of year, and that's where you will get the update.
We were supposed to receive those in June, if I'm correct.
The diagnostic testing window actually ends in June. So we wouldn't be able to turn that around for you because the window would still be open. And that's why we will start with that end of year data in August.
Hey, State Monitor, would you like
Correct.
to speak to this? Would you like to speak to that? As far as the reporting, when we're supposed to receive these, this data?
Thank you, Commissioner Patterson. I had a conversation with interim superintendent Strickland about that. He shared with me that they were still working on the report, that the testing ended in June, so that it will be shared at the August ESA committee, because they were not done until June.
Going forward, what are the months that we're supposed to receive the results of the iReady results? And during what months? So we can put this on our calendar.
In next month's ESA meeting, Commissioner Simmons is going to provide everyone, the public, with an actual preview of the year. And generally, you will receive the iReady report through ESA in the month after it concludes. So,
Yes.
All right,
If-
I'm
if
asking
I
you
may-
specifically what months are they, so I can put them on my calendar, because
So
we
what I
missed
will do,
June.
if I may speak, I will provide that to you in the ESA meeting during the month of August. I will provide that update as to when you can expect those. They're always on a lag. So when they happen, they usually come out afterwards. So the information can be compiled and then the report can be provided. I will provide that information in the August ESA meeting so that those questions will be answered. And we can put that in the log and then follow up from there. But I will have that for you all in the ESA meeting in August.
So right now, no one can tell me when those months are, so thank you very much.
Commissioner Malloy?
Yes, thank you. I just want to touch on Commissioner Patterson. I think those are, it's good to have that information, and we definitely need that information. But that iReady progress monitoring is going to be part of our overall progress monitoring. And we're going to be going through our board governance training. And hopefully as a board, then we will be setting up that calendar all together as a board to progress monitor our specific goals. And the iReady stuff is going to be part of something that is called interim progress monitoring goals. So we have interim goals and guardrails that we're going to be coming up with through this coaching. And so all of that is going to be developed as a board all together. And so, it's not just one commissioner who's doing that. We'll be focused on that all together. So hopefully that assuages some of the concerns that you have.
Yeah, I hope no one thought that I, as one commissioner, because no one commissioner has any authority. We are
Not
a
at all.
body of the
Not at
whole.
all.
Yeah,
Not at all.
I did
didn't
want to
mean to.
state that, though.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't mean to make it sound that way. Not
You're
at all.
fine.
All right, thank you, Commissioner, Superintendent Strickland. Superintendent Blocker, your report?
Good evening, President Elliott, Vice President LeBron, Commissioners, and the Rochester community. This is the July report for the East EPO. Will be coming up momentarily. I'd like to start out with graduation was a huge success. I'd like to thank President Elliott for coming and joining us at East. We have some preliminary data from it. That 153 out of 208 scholars graduated from the 2020 cohort. 36 are still enrolled, and 19 have dropped out. There were 30 that earned advanced Regents diplomas, 116 that earned Regents, 10 that earned local diplomas or a superintendent's diploma, 41 that earned a seal of civic readiness, 20 a seal of biliteracy, and 21 received the CTE endorsement. We're very proud of all of our scholars and the work that our staff has done to get them there. Teachers at East participated in the Vertical Alignment Institute in the beginning of July. Teachers and teacher leaders worked to better understand the criteria for our authentic tasks and how to incorporate strong cycles of practice and feedback. Each teacher or teacher leader developed a model unit with these revisions to use for our professional learning with all of our staff in August. Teacher leaders had their annual summer retreat. Teacher leaders developed continuous improvement plans with department-specific SMART goals based on data and a year-long arc of learning for teachers and students. Progress monitoring plans were created to measure impact and quick action cycles. And we focus more deeply on organizing the collaborative work in alignment with our school-wide focus for 24-25, which is strengthening adult and scholar collaboration amongst each other. The work done during the summer PL sets us up to hit the ground running in our full year PLs that take place monthly and during and after school hours. East administrators are just finishing up a full week of professional learning. Multiple areas were covered: anchoring and identifying challenges, mission, vision, and core values, leadership expectations, school-wide utilization of community partnerships to enhance scholar experiences, cohort tracking and graduation requirements, how to lead highly effective teams, leadership of a guaranteed and viable curriculum. What are we expecting our administrators to do? Social emotional learning, strategic planning, and collaboration in the classrooms, as well as team building. Very proud to share that our East scholars involved in our Step to College program with the University of Rochester did a 2-week residential summer program at St. John Fisher that ended last Friday. It was a resounding success, providing approximately 35 rising 9th through 12th grade scholars with transformative and enriching experiences. Through a diverse curriculum that included ELA in math, engineering, College 101, and then engaging electives such as American Sign Language, baking, Spanish 101, fitness, and step dance, the scholars had the opportunity to broaden their skills and knowledge in a supportive and dynamic educational environment. Last Friday, they shared their final presentations of what they had accomplished over the 2 weeks, and it was just wonderful to hear their kids' experience of living on the college campus and what they gained from this experience. The goal of this camp, Hillside Work Scholarship Program, offered a culinary program to expose RCSD scholars to various techniques and skills involved in the culinary arts, as well as to encourage them to appreciate handcrafted meals and desserts. They were learning about ingredients, recipes, and measurements that are used in our everyday meals. The camp promoted organization, collaboration, and teamwork across RCSD scholars. Thanks Hillside Work Scholarship Program for uniting our RCSD kids and to the East Culinary staff. As far as our transition plan, information continues to be gathered from stakeholders as we transition the East EPO. Scholars gave input at the end of the school year where we held focus groups and asked a series of questions that are listed there. We had numerous parent cafe series and face meetings as well as an asset survey. The questions that were asked or discussed during those meetings or on the survey are also listed there. I do want to note that we have had a reduction in some teacher leader positions. We know as we transition back to the district that the district is working right now on incorporating teacher leaders into the core subject areas. So we are trying slowly to reduce some of our teacher leader positions, so we'll be in alignment with the district. We are also working hard on blending RCSD and each initiatives so that collaboration can take place. As listed there, we had someone participate in the PELP project that Superintendent Strickland discussed, the TNP, scholar leaders of the color collection. We had our lower school vice principal participate, the Latinx roundtables. We had an upper school vice principal participate, our summer school collaboration where principals, VPs, and RCSD teachers that are pictured there at summer school have been working jointly to make sure scholars finish in August or gain as many credits as possible. The ASAR end of the year celebration and executive council has 2 East members on it, our VP and our freshman academy director, and the HBCU football classic that is coming to Rochester that will be hosted at Monroe and East. They have been working collaboratively. So I'm very pleased with the efforts that we have started to make to work in unison with the district. I believe it's imperative as we go through this transition. Committee work on the DTSD-DE tenants will begin again in September as we have students in the building and parents joining us so that we have full representation on our committees. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Block. I'm glad to hear that the transition is moving along smoothly and that we will continue the work at East that we are doing with our other high schools. And I just don't believe we're going to lose a lot of the essence of your program. I trust that we're going to continue with the essence. I'm opening it up for questions. Superintendent Santiago. Commissioner Santiago.
Yeah, I just want to, first of all, say thank you for the update in the transition, Superintendent Blocker. I also want to give appreciation to see and happy to see that the scholars and the parent voice is being heard in the committees and in the transition. My hope is that, the voices of the scholars and the parents are, some of the most important feedback that we get in the transition, and that we truly do hear some of the things that they have to say when it comes to what they believe made East successful in its own right, and be able to transition that as we transition the school back into the district. I also I noticed that this is our first board meeting back since the graduations. And just looking at the presentation here today, I saw that many of our students who graduated in 2024 started school in 2020 during a very hard period of the pandemic and COVID-19. So since this is our first meeting back since the graduations, I just would like to give appreciation and shout out to all of the graduates of class of 2024. If we can give it up for them. Congratulations, guys. And lastly, just a quick question. I see that right now there are some negotiations for the RTA contract. and an extension for the EPO memorandum of agreement. I'm just wondering, why was the decision for 1 year? Seeing that, the transition is going to be pretty eventful. I'm sure it's going to take a little bit more than a year to really get into the nitty gritty of everything. So just wondering what the thoughts were behind that 1 year extension, making the decision just for 1 year. That could be to the superintendent. I don't know.
I'd be happy to respond. I know that we knew for this year for certain, everything was going to be in place because the EPO is still in place. We were trying to secure next year, so that meant 2 continuous years were still going to be in place. And then we put in the MOA or MOU an actual wording that says this can be revisited in January of that following year to see about extensions. But to try and move out with multiple extensions with the changes that are going to happen, we felt 2 years would at least ensure people not to run, that things are still going to be strong and in place, and that we're working together.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask because, the transition is going to take some time, so I don't know if 1 year was enough time or not, but I'm glad to hear that feedback.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying.
Pretend to believe that it was enough time. So they had.
I'm
to
just saying with the RTA contract, not just with the transition.
I'm
altogether,
sorry.
Just
Okay.
specifically with the RTA contract, but I got an understanding. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
We agree with you, and we're trying to take it 1 year at a time, so it's manageable. Thank you.
Okay.
I also want to note one more comment pertaining. We really did spend time, Commissioner Santiago, on listening to student voice. So it's very easy to put something out to parents or kids and not really, you get it back on a piece of paper. We spent the time to do focus groups and parent cafes. We brought students and parents in and community members to hear their feedback firsthand and be able to ask back and forth questions to delve deeper into what they were saying than something that just appears surface level on a statement that could be taken anyway. So thank you for continuing to push for parents and scholars to be represented in this transition.
And thank you guys for the work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Santiago. Any questions from the Zoom for Superintendent Blocker? Any questions, other questions from the dais for Superintendent Blocker?
No, I'd just like to thank you again for such a thorough report, so thank you.
Well, thank you very much. We will now go on to consideration of resolutions, but prior to me doing that, what I also want to make sure I do, if I can pull it back up, well, let me just go on to do this. What I want to do at every meeting is read our board goals, but I also want to read the statement that we have in front of us so that we are clear how we are to conduct ourselves during the meeting. So I'm going to read this statement. The board expects district officials and the public to conduct themselves and speak in a respectful and courteous manner so as to model proper civility and decorum for students. Shouting, personal insults, vulgarity, profanity, attacks, revealing information prohibited by law, or any conduct that disrupts the flow of business is considered to be out of order. The board may, among any other steps available to pursuant to law, take the following actions during the meeting to maintain a fair and efficient meeting: interrupt, warn, or terminate a participant's statement when the statement exceeds allotted time, is personally directed, abrasive, obscene, or irrelevant. Request any individual to leave the meeting when that individual, whether in person or virtually, does not observe reasonable decorum or the conduct interferes with the orderly progress of the meeting. Call for a recess or any adjournment for another time when the lack of public decorum so interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting as to warrant such action. So that's the public meeting, public statement, but I also want to make sure that at every business meeting that I'm reading the goals, what the board approved for the 23-28 school years. Increase the percentage of students in grades 3 through 8 who are proficient on the New York State ELA assessment from 16% in September 2023 to 40% in June 2028. All students reading by third grade, increase the percentage of students proficient on the third grade New York State ELA from 15% in September 2023 to 50% in June 2028. Increase the percentage of students in grades 3 through 8 who are proficient on the New York State Math Assessment from 14% in September 2023 to 40% by June 2028. Increase the number of students earning 5 or more credits in ninth grade from 70% in September 2023 to 90% by June 2028. So that's our goal that this board approved unanimously. And now we'll move to consideration of resolutions. So can I have a motion for resolutions 24 through resolutions 36? This is the human capital resolutions.
Motion.
Moved by Vice President LeBron. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Santiago. Any questions or comments related to resolutions 24 through resolution 36?
I do have a quick question revolving around Resolution 33. As I was looking through the documents, I was seeing that many of the individuals in the documents either were not getting their evaluations for either all 4 years or maybe 1 to 2 years. I was just wondering, revolving around that, because we know a lot of teachers get tenured, without the correct evaluations, and so I was looking at the majority of the different names under this resolution, and I was seeing that a lot of them either haven't gotten evaluated in their 4 years, or there was 2 years missing out of the 4 years, or 1 year missing, and so I'll just like some feedback around that because I can't vote yes on something that I'm not 100% sure on, and so if there's any information on that, I'd love to hear it.
Everyone should have an evaluation every year. There are some instances during the COVID years where people would not have had an APPR score. So it's possible that on some of the tenure recommendations you're looking at, you may see reference to no scores because there were no APPR scores for a couple of those years. But there may be some instances where, for whatever reason, and there could be varied reasons for why that would be the case, an evaluation was not completed at the end of the year for an individual. The expectation is certainly the most recent year was, and that the sum of the probationary period, whether it was 3 years or 4 years, is considered by the supervisor who's written the tenure recommendation that you are reviewing. They have reviewed the full experience of the individual before recommending them for tenure.
I would like to just quickly request that, this is either moved into executive session to have a conversation on, because I don't personally, although, I heard the statement about COVID, but I see that in some of these, the first year of evaluation may have started during COVID, but then 3 years later, there wasn't an evaluation. And so that's not the case for every person here. And some of the people on here, all 4 years, there was no evaluation there. And so I would like to have a deeper conversation before I personally vote on this. I know that that takes other board members, and I am an individual board member. But me personally, I do not feel safe voting for tenured for people who have not had the correct evaluations through their 4 years.
I'm sorry. Give me a chance to speak. Who's going to speak first?
From General Counsel, Adrian, you're on the call, I understand. So with regard to do we need to have Commissioner Vice President LeBron to remove her motion, to amend the motion to remove Resolution 33 from this bundle?
Yes, I would just take an informal approach and just like withdraw the current motion and motion without that particular resolution, so that it could go into executive session if that's the will of the board.
All right. Now, Commissioner Griffin?
Yes, I just wanted to also piggyback off of what Commissioner Santiago stated, because I personally requested that information prior to today's meeting to get the evaluation, the information on the people that we're recommending to be
This for
tenured.
Resolution 33?
Yes.
All right,
yes.
so we'll talk about it in
So
executive session.
I just
We'll talk about it
wanted
in
to say
executive
that.
session.
And I also wanted to say something about another resolution. that
All right,
we're
hold on a
working with
second.
that one. I just wanted to say that, but I did ask for that information prior to here. And I didn't get a response yet.
You want to respond to that by way of interim superintendent? Yeah, because we can't just give out evaluations, can we?
No,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, so you can't get that.
Those are personnel records.
Yeah, those are
And
personnel.
a single board member could request by vote to review a personnel file in executive session with the will of the board.
Yeah, all right. So
I
those,
would like to
so
quickly
just
make
know
clear-
that those, we cannot ask for individual personnel files. So those questions cannot be asked by any one individual, except for that we can do it in an executive session.
If I can quickly make clear
Yeah.
that my concern isn't to see the individual evaluation. I just see that on the record of year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, some of the individuals either say that there's no response or there's no data for that evaluation, or it may be just 1 year that there's no data or no evaluation, or all 4 years or 3 years. Which means that, in the process of their tenure, they didn't get evaluated either all 4 years or just 2 years. And so for me personally, I think that we see a lot of teachers get tenured, and once they get their tenured, and I do not want to say this to come against any teachers. I had some great teachers in school, and there's some great teachers who have tenured. But sometimes teachers who do not deserve tenured, or who comes in our district with tenured and is not doing well for our students, they have that, and then they're untouchable. And so I want to make sure before, as an individual board member, I'm voting on somebody's tenure, that they have shown that that's something that they're effective with our students, and that they're going to be effective even in their tenure.
All right, so let me just ask Vice President LeBron to withdraw the motion.
I'm going to withdraw the motion, but before I officially do, I just want to comment that in 2020 and in 2021, that the state required boards across New York State to still tenure people even without those evaluations. I had a big issue with that, but legally, we were all boards, not just RCSD, required to do so as part of like the emergency executive order that expanded some sort of flexibility, if you will, to put a pin or a pause. And I know that some of the names on here were a part of that. They've been around for a while. But I have no issue going into executive session because that is not to exempt that there is a process that the administration does have to present to the board. And if there are gaps or issues with that process, to piggyback off of Commissioner Santiago, that's actually an us issue, and we should not be voting on that. But I do want to uplift that the state required all of us to do so in 2021. And at this time, I ask to withdraw the motion for resolutions 24, 25, 24 through 36. And I would like to make a motion for resolutions 24, 25, number 24 through 36, excluding 33, so that that can go into executive session.
All right, so that motion has been made by Vice President LeBron. Is there a second to that? Second. Seconded by Commissioner Santiago. Any other questions or comments related to those resolutions?
Yes, I do have, I think it was 24, and let me get back here to that. Hold on one second, I believe it was administrative appointment. 25, about the coordination of instruction and coordinating of curriculum. I want to know, why do we need those two positions? And what are they referencing to? If we have a lot of people already in place to create curriculums within this administration. And to create a curriculum does not take a long time. I'm not an expert, but I do know that there's a level of completion in the curriculum, and we have a lot of able-bodied people that are within this administration now that it can create curriculum. So once they get finished creating the curriculum, then what do they do what do they do the rest of the time? So I have two questions here. What department needs these curriculums to be done? First, can somebody answer that for me? Who needs the curriculums to be completed, to be done?
So these positions, I want to be clear, are coordinating some of the district level programming international baccalaureate, expeditionary learning, Montessori, so on and so forth. And then another individual is also working with the coordination of intervention prevention teachers and getting them up to speed on tier 2 and tier 3 instructional materials, as well as instructional coaching that needs to happen in our schools.
Who was doing it before, and what were we doing before to instruct these teachers in our school system?
So some of these the people that were doing some of these works before didn't actually exist. So we now have a model in which all of our schools have intervention prevention teachers, all of our schools have instructional coaches, our schools have reading teachers. We have to make sure that our instructional models are cohesive in our schools, and these individuals will be supporting that initiative.
Where did these individuals, where did you get these two individuals? Did they work in the district before? Are these some people outside of the district, outside of this city, outside of, where are they coming? I'm just trying to figure out, because we have a lot of displaced people within our city, and I'm trying to figure out why we continue to utilize people outside of our city and bring people that are familiar with the dynamics of this city and bring other people in we are not familiar with. So I have a big concern about that. So I'm going to push back on these type of things, especially when it's money and it's my taxes paying for this. I don't like these type of things. I don't like to see this. So that's what I'm trying to figure out.
No, we can let him to respond to your question. Because we gotta stop, we gotta make sure that
I know, but I'm just
be
trying to
clear about your question so that you can ask the president,
rules,
Yeah.
though. You do. So that's my biggest concern. And I have a passion. There's nothing against you. I just need to know, and the public needs to know.
Answer the question.
These individuals are already employees of the district.
So in response to that, I think we need to go, I would like to see their experience equivalent to what you're hiring them for. I think that we need to vet these, piggybacking off the same thing as a tenure. I think we need to see and be more involved in the administration that is being hired in this district, and make sure that it's going to be conducive to the city and to the urban economics that we're in right now. I think it's important. So I know people might not like it, but it's for me, it's important that we pay attention to all of these and making sure that we have the best administration in place that's going to push our children to the best levels of success in their life. And I'm sorry, but that's just the way I feel. So would not be voting on this. It would be a no for me. And if anybody else wants to support this, I think we should talk about that as an executive session as well. Thank you.
No, we're going to vote on that.
So all those in favor of resolutions 24 through 32, and then
36 through 36.
I had a question.
Commissioner Patterson? Yeah, no, I was yeah.
As a matter of fact, I tried to have Jackie ask it because it was 25, so I wouldn't have to get involved in this. But are these newly created positions, or are they existing positions?
These are positions that were already accounted for in this year's budget. So you approved a budget this spring, and these positions were already within the budget.
So they're newly created positions, yes?
Within the current budget, so they were
Okay,
not added. Yes, sir.
All right. All those in favor of resolutions 24 through 36, aside from minus resolution 33?
So I have an understanding. So we're still going to include 25 after I want to discuss that a little further back in the back. Are we still including that?
We were, because I thought you had got your
No, I
response.
didn't get my answer. I don't agree with it. I don't.
Now, you are not agreeing with it, doesn't mean they didn't have to give you an answer. So I don't understand what you're saying.
President Elliott, as Commissioner Santiago, I'm sorry, Isaiah, Commissioner Santiago, I want to know why we are hiring 2 more people within this administration, another layer, when we got people here that are capable of
They've
doing the
already
job.
answered that question.
Okay, but that's not good enough for me. I think that we need to.
They can't
address
do
the
anything
need.
else, Commissioner.
Yeah, but
Okay, you may not agree with it, but that's okay.
I think
You can vote no.
But I want to know if all the commissioners are in agreement that we should move forward.
I think there's a
on
4
this.
votes. I think we got 4 votes on it.
I don't know. Did we vote?
Well, I was trying to do the vote.
Okay, but I'm asking now, if you, do we have all the votes here for this?
If you let me do
45?
my job.
I mean, but no, I'm saying there's no other questions about this money being.
No,
put
there's no
into
other
these
questions.
two? But you ain't let nobody talk either.
But people
Already
ask
two-
questions.
But you're talking over me, President Ellie, and you're not gonna follow your rules. So what I'm saying to you is that when I look at the dynamics of the money that's being put out, and I believe we have administration already in place that could do it, I have a problem with it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but it was answered, and so you're disagreeing, but that doesn't matter.
It does matter. Everything
Okay.
matters. It may not be for you right now,
Yeah.
but it will matter in the
Yeah.
future.
All right, Commissioner Malloy?
Thank you. Yeah, Commissioner Griffin, I do appreciate your concerns. If you want to have more discussion on any item in an executive session, it would be just related to specifics about the individuals who are on those resolutions. So if that's your concern, that's something that could be talked about in executive session, but not on the dais.
But I don't think that.
Thank
that
you,
was-
Amy. Yes, it is.
That
Thank
was
you,
what
Amy.
she was, I thought.
President
Yeah, go
Elliott,
ahead.
I just want to clarify also to the listening audience, because it is so confusing to work with individuals who just don't get it as much as we are trying. So to the superintendent's point, there is a budget process. During that budget process, and these are public records, the listening audience can go back, commissioners are given opportunities to explore section by section, area by area, all of the new positions that are being added. That is the standard process. When those positions get approved in the budget, which this board majority voted and passed, those positions are often not named yet with an individual because they have to be approved before the district and the administration can go out and hire. The administration has gone out and hired. We have passed the budget. The budget passed a few months ago. So I just want to put that on record. It is my understanding, based on these conversations happening, that we have a commissioner who has questions about why these two positions are here. The administration has tried to answer, and I am answering to the public that there was a budget process. You can go back and see what questions were asked by whom. It is a public documented process. But Commissioner Malloy jumped in and mentioned that we do go into executive session because these are still employees, and they have by right laws and around human resources to have their confidential record discussed behind the scenes, just like any other person who has a job and is employed by an organization or a business. Your boss cannot put your business out there just like we can't. It does not appear to sound, based on the resolution, that there is an issue with the individuals that we are talking about. It is about a title. That is open to open public discussion. And I do want to clarify, it's not that one's personal opinion or vote does not count, but 4 is the number we have to reach. And so if we get 4 votes, which President Elliott will call and end this conversation now, so that we can see if it has 4 votes, it passes. There are many times where we have all passionately argued our case for a resolution, it passes. Myself included, we move on. With that, I'm done. Thank you, President Elliott.
I just have one more statement to make. Just for the public to know and for the record, I did speak about this months ago when it first came out with interim superintendent Strickland. So for the record, I did read it and I did discuss it and I did say that I would, when it came up, that this would happen. So for the record, I did read and I did discuss this prior. Thank you.
All right, so all those in favor of resolutions 24 through 36, except for resolution 33?
Aye.
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 Commissioner Simmons?
I said aye.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll move.
Yes, President Elliott, can you call for the nays, just so we can.
Oh, yeah, nays. I'm sorry, Commissioner Patterson? Commissioner Patterson?
It's a nay for 25 for me.
All right, thank you. Any other nays?
You need to say that over there, not to me directly, please.
It's a nay for 25 for me as well.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to resolutions 37 through 45. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Vice President LeBron. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Malloy. Any questions or comments related to resolutions 37 through 45? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Any opposed? All right. Is there a motion for resolutions 46 through 49?
Motion.
Moved by Vice President LeBron, seconded by Commissioner Santiago. Any questions or comments related to resolutions 46 through 49?
A quick question. Oh,
Who has a question on Zoom?
the Zoom can go first.
Is there a question from commissioners on Zoom?
Oh, yeah, I did. I didn't want to interrupt Santiago. I'm sorry. You
Commissioner
can go
Malloy?
ahead, Commissioner.
Go ahead, Commissioner Malloy.
Okay, thank you. This is just regarding Resolution 46. I'm just concerned moving forward. I know this is a really valuable organization that we work with and have for quite some time. But with our new academic goals that we've passed as a board, I'd like to know how in the future we're going to be evaluating the program effectiveness for any of our partners in the community. What are the specifics expected in terms of the academic outcomes? And I'm wondering who's going to be working, and this is more for the question log. I know it can't be answered right now, but who will be working with our students and how do we evaluate that work as related to our goals? And then what are the deliverables within that work? So those are just some questions that I have before I would feel comfortable voting, moving ahead as we work towards our academic goals. And it's just related to this specific resolution at this time. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all
Yeah,
those,
quick question, I'm sorry. Quick question for Resolution 47, just so the community knows about this, that will be incoming after we vote tonight on this. What would this space be used for by the YMCA, if you don't mind sharing to the community?
The space, can you hear me? The space is going to be used for them to do programming for those students and individuals in our community with the YMCA.
Yeah, so the YMCA will be doing some programming at the old Wilson building, the new middle school that will be there. So for the community that lives on the west side, please use the neighborhood center that will be being used by the YMCA over there on that side of the city.
Just to quickly add, we are very happy for this partnership with the YMCA. They're leasing our space to provide thousands of dollars of programming for our students at the Loretta Johnson campus. So we're extremely grateful for that partnership, and definitely will be over there to check that out.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Excuse me.
All right, it carries.
Ms. Elliott, oh,
Commissioner Malloy?
It's an aye for all of them except for 46 is a nay.
All right, thank you. Any
excuse
other
me, President
nays?
Elliott. I'm sorry.
Commissioner, Rahima?
I would just ask if, Commissioner Griffin, if you could verbalize your vote, yay or nay, so that we can document it as well.
Nay.
All right. Is there a motion for resolutions 50 through resolution 72?
Motion.
So moved?
Moved by Vice President LeBron, seconded by Commissioner Malloy. Any questions or comments related to resolutions 50 through resolution 72? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Is there a motion for resolution 73 through 91?
Motion.
Moved by Commissioner Santiago. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice President LeBron. Any questions or comments related to resolution 73 through resolutions 91? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Is there a motion for
President Elliott,
resolutions?
I apologize. Again, I need Commissioner Griffin to verbalize a vote either way so that we can know how to document this.
Paying attention and listening to everybody. She's not trying to listen. Aye.
I do want to quickly say this. When you called the vote, Commissioner Griffin didn't say anything, so this is out of spite, and this is not good for the look.
Out of spite, she's not
This is
recognizing
ridiculous
that-
for the
she's not
community to see
recognizing that.
us like this,
She's
and
looking for
for
certain
it's so
voices, that's it.
unprofessional.
That's
You
all.
sat there,
Yeah,
you
so
didn't
it's
say
not-
anything, and you're doing it out of spite. And so it's very unprofessional, and that's all I want to say, because that's unfair to the clerk and that's
Yeah,
unfair to the
you gotta
public.
acknowledge everybody speaking. You're looking for you're hearing certain voices and you're letting it go.
You talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, so what am I doing?
Yes, for the last.
Let's just.
Okay, so let's move on to resolutions.
I'm sorry, President Elliott, one question. Clerk Wynn, did you get the answer to your question? Were you able to record the vote?
Yes, Commissioner Griffin just told me yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think if it continues, we just roll call and just call it that way, President.
So is there a motion, am I in resolution 92?
You are.
All right. Can I get a motion for resolution 92 through resolution 107?
Motion.
Moved by Vice President LeBron, seconded by Commissioner Santiago. Any questions or comments related to resolutions 92 through resolution 107?
I have one.
Commissioner Malloy?
Thank you. I just need to recuse myself publicly from numbers 92 and 93 for a potential conflict of interest as it concerns a resolution brought forward by a household member. Thank you.
Is it 92, or 93, or is it 93, 94?
I believe it's 92 and 93.
I think it's 93, 94.
I might be mistaken. I'm sorry. I don't have it in front of me. I'm traveling. I thought it was. If
All right.
someone could check on that, I'm sorry.
Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh,
Yeah.
Commissioner Patterson?
I think we have a question over here relative to one more that might need to be added.
It was 92, 93, and 94.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I, with the exception of the ones I'm recusing from.
All right. Commissioner Griffin, did you give your vote?
I did.
All right,
I
thank you. Is there a motion for resolutions 108 and 109?
Motion.
By Vice President LeBron, seconded by Commissioner Santiago. Any questions or comments related to resolution 108 and 109? Hearing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? All right, thank you. Any opposed? Is there a motion for resolutions 110 through resolutions 128?
Motion.
Moved by Commissioner Santiago, seconded by Vice President LeBron. Any questions or comments related to resolutions 110 through 128?
I have one comment.
Commissioner Malloy?
For resolution 111, I need to recuse myself from that one as well.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Commissioner Griffin, did you give your comment?
I sure did,
All right,
thank
thank you. Is there a motion for resolutions 129 through 131?
Motion.
Moved by Commissioner Santiago, seconded by Vice President LeBron. Any questions or comments related to resolutions 129 through 131? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Commissioner Griffin, did you give your vote? Is there a motion for resolutions 135? Did we do 132 through 136? Okay. Can I get a motion for resolutions 132 through 136?
Motion.
Excuse me, President Elliott. So that section is 132 through 134 and 136.
Okay, thank you.
problem.
So resolutions 132, 133, 134, and 136. So there's no 135 in there. Did you make the motion, Commissioner Santiago?
Yes.
All right. Seconded by Vice President LeBron. Any questions or comments related to resolutions 132, 133, 134, and 136? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Commissioner Griffin? All right. Can I get a motion for resolution 135?
Motion.
Moved by Vice President LeBron, seconded by Commissioner Santiago.
Yes.
All right. Any questions or comments related to resolutions 135? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Commissioner Griffin, did you give your vote?
You got it.
Going down to the, on the agenda, we have a report with regard to relief funds, quarter 12 report. We've got some second readings for some policies. I'll let Commissioner LeBron, Commissioner Griffin, if she wants to share anything about those second readings.
Okay. The following proposed policy items are slated for second reading tonight. The transfer of students with disability, policy 4216. The identification and registration of children with disabilities, child fine, 4217. Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, 4218. Independent Educational Evaluations, IEE, 4219. Special Education Mediation, 4220. Impartial Hearing, Selection of Impartial Hearing Officers, 4221. Credentials, Options for Students with Disabilities, 4222. Wandering and Elopement Policy, 4240. Service Learning Civic Engagement, 4314.3.
Anything else? All right, thank you. All right, so we will go down to new business, and I'm going to let I'm going to let Rahima talk about the board liaisons to external organizations.
Thank you, President Elliott. So in the bylaws, policy 2300, it states that with the advice and consent of the board, that the board president will assign commissioners to committees of our external organizations, one of which being the Monroe County School Board Association. They are have asked that we share with them who the new 24-25 liaisons will be to the committees. I did share via email a document with the commissioners, just highlighting what those committees are so that you understood what you would be signing up for if you chose to be the representative. At this time, there are 3 committees they are looking for representation for. That would be their Information Exchange Committee, District Operations, which was formerly known as their Labor Relations Committee, followed by the Legislative Committee. So at this time, President Elliott, if you'd like to have some discussion around that.
So I've been a part of the Monroe County School Board Association. I go to those meetings. I actually go to the leadership one, the president's and vice president's meetings. But there are opportunities for us if we wanted to participate countywide to serve on those committees. Now, I'm not a committee chair. I just don't have the time. But I do attend the Labor Committee meetings at times, and I'm very involved, actually, with the Monroe County School Board Association. It gives us an opportunity to connect with other school districts and other boards, board of school boards out there to see what they're doing. And so I would invite, if people were interested to participate, they tend to meet monthly. There are some Zoom opportunities, but many people, meet in person. And if you're interested, please reach out to Rahima. Am I supposed, I should be appointing somebody at this point?
Yes, I would just add, so individuals are aware that the committees typically meet on Wednesdays at noon.
Yes.
And those meetings this year will be held at the Strath Allen on East Avenue. There is at times a Zoom or Teams, a virtual option to participate. But yes, you all would need to kind of decide who is going to be assigned to the committee so that I can notify them tomorrow.
All right, is anybody interested in participating on any of the committees? Can you repeat which committees they are?
Yes, ma'am. The Information Exchange Committee, the District Operations, which was formerly known as their Labor Relations Committee, and the Legislative Committee.
Yeah, I can engage in the Legislative Committee, seeing that I do the intergovernmental and community relations here on this
Thank you.
Please repeat those again. It was
Information Exchange, District Operations, formerly known as their Labor Relations, and the Legislative Committee.
the Legislative Committee.
Now, do they want one per committee, or can
Yes,
two
it would be
serve?
one alternate and one representative and one alternate.
The Legislative, I would be.
So you would be an alternate?
Yeah,
Because Commissioner Santiago is just, is serving.
Oh, you said Legislative? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. So what are the other?
Information
Can I
exchange.
volunteer for the labor relations?
Sure. Did you just say you wanted to do like,
I was trying to do it.
Uh,
It's okay. What was the last one? It's okay. I'm versatile. Don't worry.
Information exchange.
That's fine. That's fine.
the information exchange, what was that formally?
No, that one has always been information exchange. The district operations is the change name from labor relations.
All right, okay.
So just to confirm that we have Commissioner Santiago serving for legislative, Commissioner Malloy for the district operations, and Commissioner Griffin for information exchange. Is anyone interested in being alternates to those committees?
I'll be an alternate to the intergovernmental piece.
To which committee, the legislative or to the district operations?
The legislative, excuse me, the legislative piece.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody. And let me just, well, no, because it's not on the agenda, so I'll leave it.
Yes, please.
All right, so the next item on the agenda is the naming facilities, policy 7500. And so I'll turn it over for Rahima to begin the discussion on policy 7500.
Yes, thank President Elliott. So similar to our policy presentations that you all typically see the first week led by Board Staff Charisma Travis, we will just be talking this time about policy 7500, which is currently the naming facilities. So the contributors to this policy is policy chair, superintendent, executive cabinet, general counsel, board staff, as well as the bilingual education committee have all provided information and feedback. As our standard operating procedure as it relates to policy adoption and management, that we share the policies with our relevant advisory groups to review, the district administration, and then those final recommendations, which you'll see tonight, are forwarded to the board for discussion as outlined and detailed by policy 2410. So there are some significant changes that have been made to this policy, and I will just kind of go through them before we lead into two discussion questions for the board. First is that there's a recommendation to change the name of the policy from naming facilities to naming or renaming facilities. The next change is that they're going to specify or asking to specify that petitioners must be residents of the city of Rochester, and a certain percentage of those must include parents or guardians for the school in which the renaming is being suggested. There's the addition of a timeline for petitions to be received, and further clarified that the procedures to name or rename a facility will only occur if it is within the district's best interests. The updated procedures to put ownership on the superintendent and explicit actions the superintendent must take when a decision on a petition has been received. An added start date for when the community forums will occur. There is a clarification to names that are considered ineligible. In this case, that would be living individuals would be ineligible to have school or facilities named after them. Further clarified, the petition does not obligate the superintendent to select from the names received during a forum, and that they can decide not to rename a school, not to name or rename a school, excuse me. And then there's an addition of a cooling off period to ensure that facility names are not being changed too frequently. So those are some of the significant changes that are listed in the track change document. And then that leads into the board discussion, obviously for any of those items that we just named, but more specifically, the first question comes is, currently the policy requires support from at least 100 community members for a petition to be submitted. Should the minimum required number of supporters be higher than the 100?
I guess, if I can I speak? I don't know.
Have you completed it?
Yes, now I'm just reading the questions for discussion to ensure that we have the information to move the policy forward.
Can we ask a question now, do we?
Just hold on, let me just, I'm sort of getting some things together
I
here.
have a question.
All right. Yeah, okay, I will, just give me a second. Yeah. All right, so I just want to get some clarification too. We'll ask discussions, but the next steps is to have it for discussion at one meeting, the following meeting, have it a second reading, and then in October, we vote. I just wanted to get that
Yeah,
clarity.
let me highlight that because it's slightly different from the typical policy. So what's going to happen is this is going to be considered how you typically would review it in a policy committee, have discussion, and then after this, whatever you all vote on will be moved out for the first reading, which will be in the next business meeting. So in September's business meeting will be your first reading, October will be your second reading, and then November you will adopt or vote to adopt or not adopt the policy.
All right.
So now
Commissioner
I have a
Griffin?
question to find out why was this taken out of my policy meeting and not, and it put into the business meeting when this is something that should have been vetted at first. So that's what my question is. What was so significant that it had to come to this business meeting? So I'm asking, I guess I'm asking you, why would you take it from the policy committee and put it in this business meeting? For what reason? Before
Because you were delaying it, and we
I
needed.
know I wasn't delaying it. I was not going to delay it. That time I did, but for me, it should have just stayed with the policy meeting that it was scheduled. I told them to put it on the next policy meeting, which could have been August 6th, which it was going to be done. So I wasn't trying to ignore that. I just felt that it was more pressing issues to address. So my concern is that why are you taking, or why was it taken out without even saying anything to the policy chair in reference to, hey, Commissioner Griffin, there's this policy, we really need to address it. Instead of, I feel like backdooring the chair, it should have been a conversation. Hey, Commissioner Griffin, can we look at this? This is some issues that we really need to address.
Well, I did send an email out.
Well,
I sent
that
an
was-
email, and
but
so, and I had also tried to have a conversation
But it wasn't about
with
this.
you, with you before, and also
You did not-
reach out
you
to you
never
by text
called
to
me
say,
about this.
you didn't give me a chance to do it, because you never did follow up with me with our meeting.
Okay, but,
So-
but let's say this. This policy was never in. It was within when we were supposed to meet. Had nothing to do with this. So I guess my concern is that if I'm a policy chair and I'm trying to do the best thing for the board and for everyone at whole as the stakeholders, why is it that it seems like some things are overshadowed when somebody else wants to do something? Because that's where the confusion comes in and the tug of war of control and power of the narrative. So what my question is for now is, I would like to go through on the policy, because this should have been with policy.
We're
This is
going to
something
take it, we're going to do it here, Commissioner, because we got to get it out. It's
Okay,
got
it
to
can
get it to the
out, but
community.
I think you need to stop stepping on the toes of the chair because you are president. I respect that you're a president. I don't respect the fact that you feel when you want to do something, you feel you the need to do it instead of working on a cohesive basis and saying, hey, Commissioner Griffin, you gotta send me a message say, hey, Commissioner Griffin, this policy needs to be addressed because there's an issue, then that's something different. But what is happening is somebody is trying to undermine people and their intelligence, and that's where I have a problem. I don't have a problem with speaking with people, but when you try to undermine someone by saying how long they've been here or any other issue, things that are said, that is when you cause confusion. So for me, this is directly what's happening here. This policy should have stayed with me, and I could have did it on the other day. Instead, you wanted to control the narrative, and that's why we have a problem.
Yeah, well, let me just also say this. We met yesterday, and we were not able to accomplish anything in the preview meeting. And because we were not able to accomplish anything in the preview meeting, my decision is to bring particularly this policy here. And so we're going to discuss this, and we're going to continue on this conversation.
Yeah,
All right?
we can continue on this conversation, but here again, you never informed me that you were even coming, and part of the policy.
You never gave me an opportunity to.
As part of the ex officio member, you are to inform also the policy chair and let me know that you're coming. Even though you are a president, there's still an officio member. As an officio member, you still need to inform me that you're coming.
Hands on
So
the Zoom.
let's continue to go on.
There are hands on the Zoom.
Yeah, Commissioner Malloy?
Thank you. Just in regards to the possible, and I'd love to have, this is just for forwarding this to another reading during our policy meeting, I'm assuming that's upcoming. So there are going to be many, many discussions on this before it would become policy. But one concern that I have on just the wording, I think that the proposed change was to ensure that over 50% of the petitioners be current parents or students. Did I read that correctly?
You are, but we're not on that question yet, ma'am.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry, we'll get back to that one then.
Okay. All right, so are we at item 1? Is that where
Yes,
we
we're
are?
on item 1 discussing if it is sufficient to have 100 community members, or would you all like more or a different number?
All right, Commissioner Simmons?
Yes, excuse me. In relation to question number 1, 100 community members or more, I do support having a little more than 100. And actually, typically, those who have solicited school name change actually come with more than 100. I do think we should up that benchmark a little bit, and I'm happy to know that we are addressing this policy so that we can ensure we go about this in a proper manner moving forward. So yes, I support more than 100. Now, do I have a number? I think typically, I think some things that I've seen people with as much as 500. I don't know if that's enough, but I think there needs to be some form of representation in the numbers. Oftentimes, we're talking about community voice in the change of the school name. I think we need to put parameters around how many, but also what those voices consist of. And I don't know if that was helpful or if that made sense, but that's my thoughts.
Commissioner Santiago, did you have? Okay. All right, Vice President LeBron?
I also want to piggyback off of Commissioner Simmons to both points that she made, but I also agree that I do think the number should be a little bit higher. And even like how we calculate the percentage required for people to run for office is formulated based on a number of residents, and there's a formula there. To just say 100, it's a very small number that could trigger a very big change. Not on here, but more than happy to have further conversations and other readings and reiterations, is that in the past, some of the criticism from schools themselves or parents who attend these schools who didn't realize that someone across the way started a petition. And then what we end up having is that you have people who are not part of a school community, especially day in and day out. They then get to have a say and trigger a process internally to a school community that is a part of that school community, and they have no say sometimes. So I do want to add an item 3, but not for discussion tonight. But that item 3 is that we discuss whether there should be a percentage of these that include the school community, whether it's parents, staff, or a combination of both from that school, whatever school that school may be. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any more discussion on item 1?
Yep.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, Commissioner Malloy?
Yeah, thank you. I want to just piggyback on Commissioner Simmons as well as Vice President LeBron. I think that it would be valuable if a certain percentage were from the surrounding areas surrounding the school. So just residents who live around there. And I would also support having that number increase to at least 200.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Malloy. Commissioner Patterson?
Yeah, I think as a democracy that we should allow anyone's voice to be heard on this specific issue when we were talking about schools and changing names of schools and things like that. So I don't want to mute, anyone's voice. So I'll leave it at that.
All right, any other discussion on item 1? All right. We'll go on to item 2. It has been recommended that 50% of petitioners must be current parents or guardians of students at the school for which renaming is being suggested. Should this language be added, or should it just say community members? Let me just open it up.
I have a comment.
Commissioner Malloy?
Thank you. I would not be in favor of including this. I think when we talk about a legacy, we have individuals who are long gone, but who still continue to have a big impact on our community even today, and their family members still live here and maybe want to advocate for them. But at the same time, they're no longer parents of students, of current students in those schools. So I think if we include that language, we're setting ourselves up for a disadvantage, and we might not be representing the community or the legacy of our community in our past.
Any other questions related to this item?
Yeah, I just want to.
I'm
Oh.
sorry, can I just get clarity as to what that, can I just
Yes.
get clarity? I'm sorry. Because for question 2, I'm just trying to understand how that relates, or did I miss the point? Can I get some clarity?
Yeah, Commissioner Malloy, can you respond to
To
what?
question 2 and
So-
are you supporting that 50% of the petitions be parents or
No,
guardians?
I said I clearly stated that I don't support a change in this language, and the rationale behind that is if we if we aren't, if we're only saying, if we're saying that 50% of the petitioners have to be current parents or students, that isn't necessarily a reflection of the broader community. And I think we want to be careful about instituting that type of language. I think that very often you have community members who might have graduated, who might be alumni of that said school. And there might be many people who were alumni of that particular school. And if we have language that they have to be like 50% of the people who are petitioners have to be current students or parents of students, I think that we're leaving out a significant portion of people who are represented in that given area or maybe who graduated from that school.
Thank you for clarifying that. Okay.
All right, Commissioner Santiago?
Yeah, I just see that in this suggestion, it's saying current parents or guardian of students. It doesn't even say students, so I think that, you know, students should be involved in that. I think 50%, I think for me personally, it all depends on what the decision is for item 1 when in regards to 50%, but I do think 50% is a high requirement, but I do believe that percentage should be, you know, people who were connected to the school, not just guardian parents, but guardians, parents, students, alumni. You know, we should probably make that that list a little bit more broad as far as, you know, the percentage revolving around that. So that's just my feedback.
If I can say something.
Commissioner Simmons?
Yeah, just I like that thought process. So yeah, a percentage of the school community, let's say 30%, maybe it's not that, further discussion to be had. But as an example, 30% of the school community consisting of, to Commissioner Santiago's point, these folks, as well as the community members. I think if we have those metrics and pieces in place and we actually follow what we put together, it'll be helpful.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons. Any other discussion around item 2?
Yeah.
Vice President LeBron?
I do want to echo the sentiments. I would support sort of figuring out the eligibility of what the petition will look like. I do want to support, though, again, that parents and students, guardians, even family members, right? We have students who are wrapped around by family members. They should be able to sign as long as there's a connection from that child to that school. And I don't think that, you know, for me, a 30 to 50% is where I would personally feel comfortable, and it could be 30% makeup of current families and 20% of like alumni and certain categories that we may want to add, so that half of the entire petition is made up of at least some verified connections back to that school, that community, that neighborhood, at least something. But in the past, I have seen petitions come through here that people threw on change.org, and there's someone from Ohio signing it. And when you go and Google these folks, they do not even live in this Rochester community, right? And we have had that, and we've almost passed some things through with that way. So I would love clarity, and I think clarity for the community as well. And I know that we're going to have some more discussions on this, so I'm not going to drag it tonight. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions, discussion? All right. So do you sort of have your understanding of how we need to reword it?
Yes, I have a sense of that. What the question I do have is I've heard to have further discussion. And so typically you all get it to a place that is ready to go to the readings. I don't get a sense that you all are ready for that quite yet. And so I just want to verify that. And then when are you all looking to have this come back for those further discussions?
Okay, what's the thought of my colleagues? Do we want to, Vice President LeBron?
So I'm just saying we put it on to the next available meeting for a first reading, so we can vote tonight to take it out of the board. Yep, well, I'll make the motion. So can we motion for the namings facilities 7500 draft resolution policy changes be moved out of tonight's discussion and meeting and into the next available meeting? Or
Right, but-
policy, whatever meeting.
So, hold on, I just have a question. What language, usually we have like kind of finesse the language a little bit based on this conversation. So as it relates to the number of community members, when it moves to that next reading, are you all leaving 100 on there, or have you decided on the number that you want to be there that's being considered? That's what I'm trying to get clarity
You do
around.
that now? Are you all prepared to do a number now? If 100 is not the, if we need to look at more, what are we saying? Maybe 500, 300 to 500? 300, 500?
Or are you asking to have it, I'm sorry, the other options that you're asking to have it move the way it exists on the track change document that's on board docs, and then you all can think about what the exact number is and have that conversation at the first reading? Is that what you're asking for instead?
I think that makes more sense.
Yeah. Any other comments, Commissioner?
I just think that makes sense. That's a
Yeah.
good direction to go.
Commissioner Simmons, does that make sense to you?
Indeed.
All right. Commissioner Malloy, what about you? Does it make sense?
That's fine. That's fine. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Patterson, does that make sense to you?
I'd like to make a statement. My thought is that this should have never been taken. Again, I agree that this shouldn't have been taken out of policy. I don't know what the problems are, what the issues are, other than what I heard tonight. But something was out of order here. We had one commissioner leave. And again, I don't know, because no one said anything relative to this. But if someone wants to talk to me after the meeting and tell me what happened here, why this isn't in the policy chairs, why she isn't chairing this. But until I do have clear communication, what happened here, I'm not voting yay or nay.
We're not voting tonight. We're just saying,
You're asking me to make a change to something.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm not going to make any change to any document where there's issues here somewhere between someone that we should all discuss. So I'm staying out of it.
All right, thank you. All right, so we will, it seems that folk are good with
Voting to move it out of committee.
voting to move it out of committee.
So Vice President LeBron made the motion. Someone from the virtual meeting, or, excuse me, someone online made a second. I'm not sure, was that Commissioner Simmons or Commissioner Malloy?
Malloy.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Malloy made a second. And so then you all would need to vote if you're going to, on the motion, to move it out to the first reading as it exists in the track change now.
All right, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Commissioner Patterson, did you vote yes or no?
As I indicated, that.
No, Commissioner, that's how we're asking.
Excuse me. As I indicated, I'm staying out of this. So whether it's a yay or nay, that's up to you, but I'm staying out of this. I thought that,
Vote, Commissioner.
and I want for the record
Commissioner
that,
yes
I
or
want
no?
for the record that Commissioner Griffin, this should have been underneath
Are you
her
saying no, Commissioner?
and her committee,
Are you
the
saying no?
policy committee. So what I am saying is that I'm staying totally out of this.
But you can't. You have to vote.
You have to vote.
Yes or no,
Legally, you have to
Commissioner?
take a position, Commissioner Patterson.
It doesn't mean that we're not going to continue to talk about this in policy, I'm sure. And I don't know all the other stuff that happened, but it's my understanding that there will be further readings and discussions. This is just for another reading at another time. Am I understanding that correctly?
Right.
I'm familiar with policy. All right, I'm familiar with what I'm supposed to do and not to do. But I'm staying out of this one. I'm staying out.
Just, Board President, I'll just interject with one thing that the bylaws do say, no board member shall abstain from voting or leave a meeting in order to avoid a vote. So Commissioner Patterson, I think that is what is being raised here.
And again, I'm aware of that also. So because I thought there is an injustice done here, I am failing to, respond. Thank you.
Leah, can I just say something?
Vice President?
So I just want the public to know that we are legally obligated to give a vote unless there is a conflict of interest before us that we have notified or we're absent or so forth. That is our one duty as an elected. Our first duty is to vote, to use our vote to give voice to what you all have elected us to do. But I do want to just clarify for procedural purposes to the public, my understanding, just a high-level overview that each of us, by choice, this is this board's choice to sort of give everyone a chairmanship position. Not all boards across New York State do that. RCSD does. There are some boards that wait a year before they put someone in a chair position, but not RCSD. But even as the chair, that does not mean that you get to control everything under that topic, so much so that you prevent the administration and the board from moving forward to doing the business. And it is the obligation of the president to ensure that she's doing what is in the best interest of this district, the board, and that we keep the work moving along. And so what was not saw or heard was that this policy, the issues arose with the reconfigurations, there were some school renamings, and it exposed the fact that the policy was not clear enough for the public to fully understand. It caused some confusion, and it became a priority for this board because there are still other buildings and community members who want to put in petitions for school name changes, and we want to support that. But we want to have a good and clear process that everyone can understand and follow, not just specific individuals who had the experience or the knowledge or have been here before, everyone. And so this is not going to be the first time this comes up. This won't be the last time it comes up. If any board member is the chair of any committee and there is an issue and it's getting stuck in the committee and you are refusing to put it on the agenda, then yes, the board president can bring it to the board business meeting because she sets this agenda as well. Thank you.
So General Counsel, where are we? And
If the, I think the commissioner has chosen not to vote, that is against, obviously, the advice and recommendation, of myself and the fellow board members. So I think the vote is concluded. And I believe it moves forward to the next meeting for further discussion at that time.
all right, thank you. Commissioner Rahima, you want to add some clarity also to it, or are you okay?
I can provide clarity as to why it's on the agenda since that question has come up. Because of dissatisfaction with the way that the prior renaming process went, Commissioner Griffin did not want to move forward with this policy until she felt that that was rectified to her satisfaction. As a result of that, I had a conversation with both President Elliott and General Counsel around how then does the policy move forward if she won't put on a policy committee. And then that's when it got added to the business meeting because policies belong to the full board. The full board can weigh in on it at any meeting where the full board is convened. And so that next meeting that made that available was this business meeting. So that's how it wound up on the business meeting agenda instead of the policy agenda.
All right, thank you, Rahima. And so we've moved it forward, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm going to vote on it.
Aye.
Right, so just for
Aye.
clarification for our audience, that's what I was waiting for, a response why this was done. I didn't know why this was moved to this business meeting. Thank you for clarification. That's exactly what I was looking for, and now I'm willing to participate.
Thank you, Commissioner Patterson. Can I get a motion to convene into executive session to discuss matters leading to the appointment, employment status of a specific individual or corporation and to discuss matters of concern with the general counsel? Moved by Commissioner Simmons. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Santiago. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Thank you all for joining us.
We don't have any items left to vote on, correct? Yes, we do. Yes, we have Resolution 33, so we will be reconvening.
Oh, okay. So we will reconvene downstairs for Resolution 33. So thank you for joining us and have a wonderful evening. Motion?
Wait, that door gotta be open too.
All right, thank you very much for sticking with us. If you're still with us, we are going to vote on resolution 33. So I have a motion from Vice President LeBron, second from Commissioner Santiago. Any questions or comments related to resolution 33?
Just clarity that the motion removes one particular name. And, yeah, okay.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you all. Good evening. We are going to make a motion to rescind resolution 33.
Motion.
And then second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. We heard you all on Zoom. And so can I get a motion to amend
Yep,
Resolution-
2024, 25, number 33.
number 33 to remove
Number 12.
number 12? Is there a motion for that?
Motion.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so
And now
Yes,
you vote on the
so-
amended resolution. Yep.
So a motion for the amended resolution of 24, 25, number 33 with number 12 being removed. That's the motion.
that's the motion. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you.